I'm in Salad, and I saw Temple Grandin. It is directed by Mick Jackson. This was a $20 request by a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/ASEPresents if you want to request a movie review. Before I start the review, I gotta say, this is my 70th video. Yesterday was my 69th. Nice. And I realized, I passed the funny number. I'm going to switch off from daily movie reviews and do them like twice a week now, just because I don't really have much time to do any other projects. And I gotta animate a big project that is due in August. So keep out for that, and thank y'all so much for y'all's support. And when it comes to the Fansly sets, those will still be daily. So yeah, check me out on the Fansly then. Alright, so the movie starts. We are observing Temple Grandin. She's at one point she was nonverbal until she was 4, and people were like, she won't be able to speak ever. If she hasn't spoken by 4, she'll never speak ever again. And as someone who barely spoke until I was like 4 or 5, yeah, no, you speak. It's just the way that you learn how to speak is a little bit different. And I was actually doing some research on this a couple months ago. The way that the autism brain, instead of taking learning how to do individual words, the autism brain, as I've researched, will just take the full sentence and take part of this full sentence and try to use that, instead of learning what the word means. And so that's how I spoke to people. It was very that I want that say a word and it doesn't make sense. And this is what Temple Grandin is experiencing throughout this film. She's on her aunt's ranch, and you see her just look at the gate and kind of sketch things in her mind and figure things out in her brain, which and I was seeing this is oh my goodness, this is so relatable. I can do this with art. When someone gives me a prompt, I can just visualize what it's roughly going to look in my brain and then put it out on paper. And she can do that. She can execute, basically look at the gate, right? They're messing with the front gate. She's kind of observing how the different systems work. There's a pulley method. She's trying to develop a gate. And she show off her smartness, her brightness rather. But she has issue with communicating with people. She communicates I want Jello. I only eat Jello and yogurt. And just will say that a couple of times. But also she's trying to explain herself, but it's so hard just seeing her fail to do it, because it's I've been through this struggle so many times. She's even she has hard time going into college because her parents, her mom rather, she wants to put her into school, right? And this was when she was first a baby. The doctors were recommending her to be institutionalized. Not good. Probably the worst thing you could do for an autistic her, because she's bright, and she was forced to learn how social skills, which you can do, by the way. There's a whole you can't teach autists how to speak or how to socialize. No, you just gotta put them in an environment where they're forced to learn how to socialize, and it'll be rough. It's difficult. It's painful to watch, but it's helpful for them. They'll eventually be thank you so much for doing this for me. But so yeah, Temple Grandin. I was also reading a little bit about her. She just had a lot of help pretty early on, but that didn't stop her from not being able to communicate. She was taught how to she's sent to school, right? And People are like, oh, she's not good because she doesn't know how to speak regularly. She can't like formulate like the correct way of speaking. This is during the 60s and 70s. There's not a lot of research on autism, so it's struggle even more. And just like seeing her struggle throughout the film, it's like, this is very inspirational because I don't have nearly as many struggles as she did. She's like trying to do like all these things in a world where there's still you can't be let onto properties if you're a woman. Like, this is what she was dealing with. All right, so let's go back to the actual plot. So it's kind of hard for her to like get into college. You go to a bunch of the college. The dean's like, you can't be in here because you're not right for this. You got this whole cattle machine, the whole presser machine. When she was at the aunt's ranch, rather, she was like, oh, I'm gonna go into this machine, please just press it on me. And it's like calming. It's also calms cattle. And she built that machine in our college dorm room, but like her roommate hated it. And so they like tattle, and it's like, ugh. Normies, they can't understand what is. It's like a weighted blanket, pretty much. If one of my roommates in college was like, oh, you suck for wanting to be held by a machine, and I'm gonna tell everyone about it, then I would hate them forever. And she also does like hold like resentments, but it's like not like because of she hates people who's done like, oh, you are supposed to do this, let me help you instead. No, it's people who's like bullied her. But I digress. She does go to boarding schools. She also, there's like a flashback to 4 years earlier where she does meet this doctor who's like really understanding and like wants to work with her. Just understands that like she's different. Like she's really smart. She can like build this machine. By machine, I mean it's like made entirely of wood. It's like a cart. And she can just excellent work. She's complimented on her excellent work. She can just create it. And like she's very exact with the measurements, because you get measure twice, cut once. She's like, I'm gonna measure like 70 times, cut once. That's like perfect. That's the I feel like the world is run by autistics, honestly. And here's proof why. So she's able to go through college. She actually has this whole study on the machine. Back to the dean who's like, you're getting kicked out for not liking the machine's weird. She's like, I'll prove a study, and she like has like a whole study, and all these people are like, oh, it's relaxed or no different, or like it's pleasant, but some people are feeling claustrophobic because they're claustrophobic people, they were prone to that. And she's like, yeah, most of the people are like helped by it. Can I keep my machine? They're like, yes. And then she's able to graduate, and it's pretty great. And she's like has this whole speech. I was like, yeah, I have like my master. Oh, well, I'm working on my master's. I have my bachelor's, working towards my master's. It's going to be pretty great. And then the next scene, she sees like she's above a bunch of cattle. She's looking at a bunch of the cattle. They're mooing very loud. The guys, she's the only woman there. The guys are like talking about the cattle. They're like, oh yeah, you gotta like poke at them, treat them inhumanely. And she's looking around like, oh, the cows are mooing. There must be a reason why they're mooing. And of course, the guys are like dismissing her, like, maybe you should like consider a different line of work. It's like, no, your approach sucks. The cows, this seems like literal moo. It's so hard to escape all the mooing. And she's just like looking at how the cattle are. They like to go in curves. She's like, I like the visuals where it's like demonstrating like what she's thinking about. Like, oh, they go in curves. They go in curves to soothe each other out away from the handlers, and they're like, oh, there's a whole different like method to this farm, and the whole different method. The cowboys, they're like, hey, we know better. We know better. This method works. We're just gonna prod at these cattle. Oh, they're also going to be drowning. We gotta save a few of them per week. Maybe we lose maybe one, maybe two, but that's we're doing pretty good. It's like, no, that's not good at all. Maybe there's a better way to do this. And so she's like thinking better ways. She's trying to like talk about like these cowboys. They don't understand that these cattle, like they're going in a specific way, and this is all my master plan. She gets to the point where she's like focusing on the design of like this new cattle system where the cattle just like go very nice and calmly, and they just like do whatever they want themselves, you know? And that is like the point, is to have the cattle do themselves, so you don't have to pay money for labor. And she builds this system, and it works flawlessly. Even got like the editorial from like cattle magazines, like, yeah, this is a masterpiece. Then you got the cowboys, they're like coming in, oh, yeah, we can, this woman doesn't know how to do this. This is all wrong. I'm gonna put steel on these, on where the steps where the cattle is supposed to be. Is like, ma'am, that pit is too shallow, it's too much. We killed 3 cattle that way. It's like, it's not supposed to have the steel. What are you doing? It's not supposed to have steel. And they blame her. She's like, all right. She goes to the doctor's office that like loved her pretty much. He's like, come on, I can design a better slaughterhouse. And she's here to give all these plans. Like, oh, I have this plan. It's just like, she circles it just like, you know, just like a normal amateurish plan. But she also is like observing this guy make these plans. Like, make different plans, but she's like observing how he does it. And so she's able to replicate that pretty much perfectly. And just like kind of go around. And she's trying to pitch this plan, but her approach sucks. And I'm like, oh no, if I didn't know better, I would also be approaching people like this. Hi, I'm Mint Salad, and I have this plan that I want you to look at. It has cattle. I want you to redesign your entire slaughterhouse. And of course, they don't speak with women. So you know what's interesting? She's kind of distraught. There's this whole metaphor, right? Gotta go through doors for like opportunities or whatever the phrasing is, and she's stuck at this automatic door, and she's afraid to go through, and a woman appears, and she's just forward. She compliments her, and I'm like, yes, we need forward women in life. We need more forward women, especially forward women are great for autistic people. If you're autistic, go find yourself a forward person to be friends with, because they'll just be forward. They'll be super forward about it. And that is exactly what an autistic person needs. She's like, yeah, I just want to, like, if I see something, I just want to go out right and say it, you know? And they go through the automatic door together. She's like, I have trouble with automatic doors when I'm nervous. And she holds the door open for her. And it's like, this is a new friendship. Awesome. I love it. And she just so happens to like be the wife of someone who's like very powerful in the cattle industry. And so she's able to get these plans in front of like this entire table, and she's explaining it, and people are like, oh, what are you doing? And like interrupting her. It's like, no, just stop interrupting her, let her explain, listen to the words that she's saying. But it gets to a point where she's like, she has to be like, think about the amount of money you're wasting on cattle prodders, all right? Think about all the money you're wasting on the calf that are dying. think about this method instead. Even though it's a little bit expensive, you don't have to spend any money on manpower, which is the most expensive part of it all. Let me just implement this design. And so there is this system where she does, and it's pretty great. Like, honestly, I love it. She's able to help out the cattle industry, and it's pretty great. Then, like, the credits are pretty much like, yeah, she's implemented this design in over half the cattle industry, all the cattle plant slaughterhouses in North America, over half of them. And I'm like, this is amazing. That means just what's going on with the other half? Come on. This is the movie in 2010. This has been like 12 years later. Maybe they've changed it. Maybe like a quarter, 3/4 is being used. But you know what sucks? Not all cattle are being treated like this. And she just has like an inherent ability to understand cattle by touching their heartbeat. It's like, yeah, I was talking to other autistics, right? It just seems to be like a common trait among autistic people like myself, because I have the same thing with dogs. Like, I'm like a dog whisperer. I can understand dogs pretty clearly. Take a dog will not bite me, okay? I can approach a dog like, oh yeah, just put your fist up to their nose and let them sniff you, and then they'll come approach you, and like then you can like kind of touch their head a little bit, but dog language is easy to understand, just like she's able to understand cattle language. And it just seems that like normies, neurotypicals, non-neurodivergents rather, it just seems like they don't care as much to empathy towards animals. That's what this release the cowboys anyway during this movie. They're like, oh yeah, they just move. They're just like poking at the cattle. It's like, no, you're hurting them. Come on, stop hurting the animals. We deserve better. Okay, this is the ultimate message that she was trying to get across. We only raise cattle to feed ourselves. So why should we just treat them cruelly? I mean, nature is cruel. We don't have to be. We deserve to pay them some respect. And I really like that. And man, I really like it's such a good character piece. And then like by the end of the film, I was like, this like really changes my perception on autism even more than before. It's like a more like clear cut example, and it's also helped other autistic kids in the scene. She's at like an autistic conference. People are trying to calm people down when they're spinning. It's like they're calm, chill out. And she's able to explain that like calming helps them like chill out. It kind of feels more like a hug. It just explains all this stuff. And I'm like, that makes sense. She's like the highest functioning autistic. Maybe there's even more higher functioning autistics that I would love to meet. She's still alive. I would love to meet her, talk to her about a lot of things. And so I gotta give this movie a solid 10 out of 10. This is a perfect movie. I love it. I want to meet Temple Grandin. If you like that content and more content at patreon.com/ASEPresents for $3 a month, you get some daily vlogs. Also, $20 a month, you get one movie request per 1 month. So go check out patreon.com/ASEPresents. More links to support me are in the link right here. Check it out. It's in the link tree. Hey, that's pretty cool. Trees are cool. Go click it. Also, answering all fan DMs on Fansly. So go check out fansly.com/itsmintsalad. Until next time, I'm in Salad Saw. I'll see you later, my salad, croutons, and bacon bits.